Did you hear that? The 13th chime. It shouldn't exist, but we all know it's there, hiding behind the face of that demon clock. Once more it is time for the veil of shadows to be lifted. Once more it is time for the Hallow-Holics Anonymous podcast.
You better cover up those crackers because that's gonna fall, and then all that cracker is gonna go everywhere. Okay, cool.
Cracker talk.
Cracker talk. This is our 15-minute food introduction, obviously.
We're a bunch of fatties. I don't know if our listeners were aware.
They don't have that blueberry burst on these
freshly
washed sheets. I'm sorry, I washed the sheet yesterday.
You know what you're doing?
No.
You're procrastinating. And
I'm not procrastinating. I'm sorry.
Just read the intro, Julianne.
Hey guys, I don't like this hostile work environment. Live from a tropical paradise, drinking pina coladas and trying to figure out who the killer is, I'm Julianne.
I'm Maddy.
And I'm Chris.
So, all of us recently have watched a pretty awesome movie.
Pretty fantastical.
I mentioned it in a recent article, actually, as the featured film of the week.
So what would you think of the movie?
I thought it was incredible.
It was really good. We should probably say the name of the movie now.
Yeah, probably. It's called What We Do in the Shadows with Jermaine Clement and other people.
And other people, apparently they don't have names.
Yeah, well, they're not Jermaine Clement, so come on.
He's famous from being part of the duo from Flight of the Conchords, the musical duo.
Flight of the Conchords always kind of reminded me of the Mighty Boosh.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because they're British? No, wait.
They're not British.
They're not British. They're New Zealand. Never mind.
I think it's because they're two dudes who don't have much direction in life, and then they sing at random points about different topics.
I can see that.
I love the Flight of the Conchords. We saw them 2 years ago.
Yeah, but
we saw them 2 years ago at the Oddball Comedy Festival. They were fantastic.
They were amazing.
They were honestly the best part of the entire thing. They did a cover of the Radiohead song "Creep."
Yes.
They did the best cover ever.
They did the best cover of it. They were like, "We've got this new song, and we're just gonna play it for you guys." And it starts off, and you don't really recognize it, and then slowly the song started morphing into "Creep," and then they were just singing it terribly.
You know that part? She's running out.
Yeah, I love that song.
They were rolling on the ground, holding their hands out to the audience.
Oh my god.
Touching people's hands.
And they were like, "I'm a creep." It was amazing. So back to What We Do in Shadows. Natalie, you want to explain the plot of the movie?
Okay, so basically this is how they summed it up in an interview I watched, and I thought it was the best summary ever. Imagine if you took Interview with the Vampire, and instead of doing the flashbacks to the romantic aspects of his life, you just recorded interviews of his daily life, the boring stuff. That's what you'd get with What We Do in the Shadows.
That's a really good description of it, because that is exactly the movie, is they talk about these points in their life that were kind of like high points for some of the characters, like one of the characters falling in love, and the other one, this epic battle he had.
With the Beast.
With the beast. Right? And then in the beginning of the movie, what does it show? It has them having a flat meeting.
Yeah.
About dirty dishes, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And just the different elements they pretty much get all the aspects of the mythology of vampires. They fit it into the movie at different points pretty well too.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by the amount that they actually put in there. I mean, the whole myth about the lore involving being invited into houses, transformation.
No reflections.
Hypnotism.
Yeah.
And it fits in there, and just this really well done way involving their modern lives. Oh, and floating or flying.
Oh, that was awesome. They did that one really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, what about there's this one bit where they attack the guy in their house and how they all team up together. It's really funny.
Also, what was really good about it was all the vampires, they kind of had these
accents. sense.
I say these personalities that kind of are very, I'm trying to think of the word.
Complimentary?
No, not so much that, is they took on these personalities, like Peter was this 8,000-year-old vampire. It kind of reminds you of Nosferatu, right?
Yeah, and he didn't talk, but he was just great.
And then Jermaine was kind of like Vlad the Impaler, but like kind of sexified, I guess.
Very sexy vampire.
I was 16 when I became a vampire.
Oh my god!
I always look 16.
Times were hard back then. Yeah, and then they had the addition of a new young vampire who like was only like in the movie. I think he was only supposed to be like 2 months old. Well, he got turned in the movie, and then it was like 2 months old.
Yeah, and they were responsible for him getting turned.
Yeah. Who let Peter out?
Technically, Peter was.
Poor guy. I just, oh my god, that movie is very quotable, kind of like Zoolander. I imagine, like, in the future I will probably be randomly quoting it to people.
Yeah, I think it's one of those movies where you watch the trailer and you're like, all right, that looks good, and then you watch it and you realize, wow, that was actually
good.
Like really good, like really quotable. I instantly want to rewatch the movie after I watched it, just so I could catch more jokes.
That's exactly how I felt when like the movie was over. I was like, I wish I could sit here and watch this again. In fact, I think I might be going to see it on Tuesday again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just take the end of the credits.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about in that movie, though, that is the first part of that movie. There's not really any plot, and it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second part of the movie, it's like, oh, we really need to come up with something that's happening. So I felt like the first half of that movie was really, really solid, and that's not to undermine any of the second part, but I feel like just the first part was really great in that movie, and the second part was still good, but...
Mm-hmm. The first half did a really good job of setting up the foundation of the story.
Yeah, and I just feel like you really got a sense of each character very well, and who they were, and...
It was hard to really even pick a favorite character, because I liked them all for different reasons, especially the erotic dance scene.
Oh, yeah. And also, those characters are so different. Like, I found Diego, who I think is kind of the main character, he was the most, like, adorable vampire I've ever witnessed in a story. I want to talk about that one really great part with him where it almost seems like he's on a date. Yeah, he's kind of like on a date, right, with this girl, and he's so uptight. He's like about to suck her blood, and he's like laying down newspapers and towels.
Yeah, and she's just
not
talking.
His couch. That was great. I definitely recommend that movie.
Yeah. It's so hard not to just want to do a play-by-play and just talk about the whole damn thing.
I know, and then just constantly quote it, but I mean...
But real quick, before we move on, everyone say, we'll each say our favorite line.
One of my favorite parts, just had me like dying of laughter, was when they're arguing over the dishes, and Diego and Deacon, they do that vampire thing where they float up and their chests touch.
Yeah.
They're hissing at each other.
Yeah.
Oh, the part where he's like, you're a cool guy, but you've got to start pulling your weight around here. That part? I'm glad to know that you think I'm cool.
That's not what this meeting is about.
Well, I think my favorite quote is just like when Jermaine's like, and I said, let go of my balls, beast.
I like the montage of the beast.
Yeah.
Never encounter the beast.
I was beginning to get an idea when he was talking about the beast of exactly what the beast was.
Well, they're talking about virgins and why they prefer virgin blood, and one of the characters says, I think of it like this. If you're going to eat a sandwich, you would just enjoy it more if you knew no one had fucked it.
Which is a good point.
Very good point. My favorite line was probably, I cannot remember his name. What was the name of the asshole? Deacon.
Deacon. Okay, sorry.
Was Deacon talking to the camera saying, oh, he's probably pretty sad because he just saw his friend get disemboweled.
Mm-hmm.
But,
a friend we're not going to name because that would be total spoilers, guys.
It wasn't even, like, so much that was, like, a particularly funny line. It was just that situation.
That situation.
Made
telling
that
that
really
to a camera.
funny.
Yeah.
Seriously, just go watch that movie.
Okay, now that we've talked about what we do in the shadows, and of course you as an audience member are going to immediately go out and find a way to see it, even if you have to pimp yourself on the streets, I'd also like to talk about a new web series coming out soon. It looks pretty funny. It's called Low Spirits, and I'm going to send you guys a trailer real quick.
Looks pretty cool.
Interesting.
I mean, it looks fun as a web series.
Yeah, I think as a web series it looks fun. Is he supposed to be like a medium or something?
I think he's probably like a paranormal investigator.
Huh?
Maybe a less sexually frustrated David Duchovny.
You know what's kind of a funny show that's kind of involves similar elements is that show Deadbeat on Hulu.
I know what you're talking about. I've been wanting to see it, but I don't have Hulu.
Really? It's funny. I think you would enjoy it. The first episode, I think, the first 5 minutes of the show is really hilarious.
Well, I really like that actor. I think he should get more roles, I guess.
He has a lot of writing.
He was in Reaper. Oh, yeah, he has a lot.
He's a lot of writing.
Yeah, he was in Reaper. Reaper was all right. I think they went in a weird direction at the end, though.
And we never really finished it, but
yeah.
That show had just the devil in that show was fantastic.
He was amazing. That actor is amazing.
Oh yeah, he's very good at playing the devil.
Quick interjection here. If you had to put a number on how much it costs to make What We Do in Shadows, what would you put the budget at?
Without looking at IMDb?
Without looking it up.
Yeah.
I remember seeing an interview and they said they had 200 plus hours of footage, so I'm thinking it's probably around maybe 2 million mark, maybe.
Pretty good guess.
Yeah. Anyway, Chris was describing this movie to somebody earlier, and he described it as a low-budget movie.
Yeah.
Which
she sees as an offensive thing. I didn't mean it as an offense.
It made it sound. I think the way in the context he was describing it made it sound like low budget in a negative way, and I thought the special effects of that movie were great.
Well, here's what you do. When you're trying to describe something that has a comparably low budget to big blockbusters nowadays, since they usually go into the 20, 30, 40 million, whatever crazy budgets, you want to say independent film, not low budget.
He was describing it as a foreign, low budget movie, and I was like,
that does
not make it sound good.
I consider if it's in the million area, just single, that it's low budget, and it turns out it was 1.4 million to film.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could have just said clever mockumentary, I guess, and it would have gotten it across too.
See, I was describing it to my dad, and clever mockumentary doesn't really
Your
translate
dad's
well into
not hip.
He's old.
Yeah.
And he's just so old.
Yeah.
So, what were we just talking about? We watched that trailer for this
Low
web
Spirits.
series.
Low Spirits.
When is this coming out?
You can find more about it at 16films.com. That's 16films.com. And it looks like it screened at Sudbury 2014, so it's making some circuits at film festivals.
Oh.
So that means God only knows when it's going to actually be maybe available.
I think it looks like it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks a little like Warehouse 13. Moving on, we should probably get on to the meat of our episode this afternoon, evening, morning, whenever the hell you're listening to us, or whenever the hell I get this uploaded. Horror comedies.
Not to be confused with comedy horrors.
Or horror comedy.
Or horror comedy. Yeah, it's not, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. They should I wonder if they, injected zombies or something into that screenplay, kind of like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I wonder how it would turn out.
Oh, that reminds me of, since we went to the Alamo Draft House, they always show these, little funny clips before movies, before they even get to the previews. And one of the clips they did was that Funny or Die skit. About when Harry met Sally, the sequel.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, worth checking out over at Funny or Die. It's pretty hilarious.
Billy Crystal still has it. He's still got it.
He never lost it, yeah.
Never lost it, no.
He never will lose it either.
So, Malin, why don't you kind of get into it? Let's talk about the difference between horror movies that have comedy elements and comedy movies that have horror elements, I suppose?
Oh, yeah, that's, well, okay, there's actually a movie that just got released on Netflix Instant Watch called Housebound. I don't consider it a horror comedy. I think horror comedy is when basically when every time the blood is being spilt, it's funny. If there are moments when it's not funny and it's supposed to be scary or stressful, then it's not a horror comedy. It's a horror movie with elements of comedy in it.
good description, because what I've noticed is I don't really watch a lot of horror movies because I get super scared, but a lot of them have like a lot of funny moments in them, like jokey yuck stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, one thing I can think of off the top of my head is I think the Freddy Krueger movies are supposed to have some funny parts in them, right?
Yes, they are.
He's very joking.
Yeah.
You know, that's an interesting thing. That series, I feel like, started off as horror and then gradually became horror comedy.
Similar like the Chucky series, that kind of just became a joke, didn't it?
Yeah. I think that became a joke at around Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
Terrible.
You don't like Child's Play, really?
No.
Like, even the part where he doesn't have the batteries and she, like, flips him over?
Nope.
That part doesn't get you?
Nope.
What about when he, like, beats that lady to death with the yardstick?
Probably of like that genre of, you know, just slasher, you know, Freddy Krueger, Jason, Halloween, all those, I would probably say scariest among them is probably Freddy Krueger.
Okay. That's an interesting point. Is it because he can get to you no matter what? You can't lock him behind a door?
Yes.
He'll turn into the door?
He's inevitable. If you can try and stay awake, but you are going to sleep eventually, and he will be there waiting.
You know, honestly, he's so antagonistic, too. Like, even when you feel like you might be partially safe from him, he's still amused. He's still laughing at you.
Why do you think that they're adding so much more comedy in them nowadays?
You know what? I think it's because, on the whole, a lot of people are taking horror movies a little bit less... A lot of American horror films, American specifically, aren't good anymore. I think producers are seeing it and thinking, well, if we make it funny, people are going to want to enjoy it more. We don't want to bother with paying a screenplay writer to make something legitimately scary, because that'll take more effort. But even then, there hasn't been a lot of really great horror comedy coming out.
No?
Nah, I think a lot of it is, like, miss for me. Except for, you know, the movies we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and, you know, even the movies we're about to talk about are not that, or, like, the only one that's, like, Tucker and Dale, that's the most recent one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
They're all really good, though, I think. They're doing a sequel?
They are doing a sequel.
I don't know how good that could be, because it seems like a theme that...
Like a one-time thing, right? But...
Yeah. Like, I mean, I imagine if there was a sequel done, it would be, like, rehashing the same kind of territory.
The movie I chose was Tucker and Dale.
Versus Evil?
Versus Evil, excuse me. I always shorten that just to Tucker and Dale, but it is a movie starring Tyler Levine and Alan Tudyk.
Is he Canadian? Tudyk.
I have no idea. From Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just go with that. Wash from Firefly and King Candy. But moving on. It is a movie about a bunch of college students going into the middle of the, you know, God knows what was it, Appalachian Mountains?
Yeah.
Appalachian Mountains.
Country, you know.
And they encounter two quote-unquote hillbillies and start to think that they are out to get them, out to murder them.
Because everything they do looks like they're crazy psycho hillbillies.
Yes, and I actually like the way they started off, is they're starting it off and it's showing it from like the college kid's perspective.
Yeah.
And then it just, right as soon as they hit a convenience store, it switches perspectives over to the two quote-unquote hillbillies and starts showing the story from their point of view.
They're two good old boys who bought a vacation home.
Just fucking really bad luck.
The vacation home aspect of it was really just painful for me.
It was very painful. They just wanted they wanted something nice. Why couldn't they have something nice?
Yeah, and they weren't, their expectations, they were like, oh, this place is great, even though it was like a kind of a murder cabin.
Yeah, it's like obviously a murder cabin with the hanging bones and murder wall.
They're kind of the kind of people that are hands-on and capable of making something crappy into a, you know, decent place. They just didn't get the chance.
Yep. What with the
suicide
pact.
That the college kids stuff. It's just like a movie based on just what is it? Not miscommunication. Just
miscommunication.
Reading situations wrong completely.
Like, basically making fun of all those, like, evil hillbilly movies.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, they were just simply nice guys, like, genuinely nice people.
Caught in a really bad point of view in situations, unfortunately.
Yeah, with, this specifically one guy projecting his prejudices on them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the first kind of movie I've seen like that, about just that miscommunication, I guess, and misreading it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Madeline, have you seen similar horror comedy movies like that?
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of horror comedy. I think the way it was done in Tucker and Dale was very unique. I don't think it can ever be done again and be as good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really unique and just hilarious.
I have to disagree. The first movie I can think of that did something like that was the movie Orca.
Orca? What, that ripoff of Jaws?
Of Jaws. It's a killer whale that starts killing.
Because it wants its baby back?
I was thinking of Free Willy.
No, I thought the reason it started killing was because they killed its mate.
I thought it was the baby.
Oh, God.
Was it the baby?
It doesn't matter because that already sounds pretty horrible.
Yeah. The point is,
all of you, discerning film connoisseurs out there, feel free to correct us on our Twitter. I'm gonna push that damn thing until one of you makes a comment.
To be fair, that whale was a lot more active than Jaws, okay?
Yeah. Which Jaws is a good movie. We need to talk about that at some point.
I agree. Julianne needs to see that.
I need to see it.
Okay, back to Tucker and Dale.
I don't even think that was released in theaters, right? That was a Netflix?
No, it went straight to DVD.
If it had been released in theaters, it was probably just like festival circuit or something.
Yeah. Yes, I love the various ways the college kids die and get more and more into the perception that these guys are evil.
Yeah. This is a movie I could easily, like, even though I've seen it a few times, I could easily go to Alamo Drafthouse if they had it.
Yep.
But speaking of Alamo Drafthouse, do y'all ever feel like you're assholes when you go there? Like, I just feel like I'm a total asshole when I go to Alamo Drafthouse because I really like it, and I really love Alamo Drafthouse, but I also feel like it's a hipster location. I feel guilty
You're a hipster.
for liking it.
No, I think it's just a really cool theater. I mean, I've heard a lot of people online talk about it, and I don't think it's necessarily hipster. I think it's just I think a genuinely cool place. And then those who don't know about the Alamo Drafthouse, it is a theater, and they serve food and beer, and
they're funding homeless shelters in Austin.
Yeah. And they also show a lot of movies that a lot of theaters don't show.
Mm-hmm.
And they do quote-alongs, and it's just like...
Bring back classics.
And I know it's in a few other states besides Texas, but I mean, if you get a chance, if you come to Texas and there's a Drafthouse nearby, I really recommend going and watching a movie there.
Mm-hmm.
Their pre-shows are really fun as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-shows are really fun. And they kick people out if somebody is on their phone at all, they'll kick you out. No refund. If you talk during the movie, or if they hear you talking during the movie, they'll warn you, and then if you do it again, you get kicked out. They really care about their customers there a lot. So I don't think it's hipster. I don't know. I could see how you would think that.
It's not.
Probably because I can just picture someone like wearing a tuxedo vest and like frayed jeans and a plaid undershirt with like an ultra like tailored mustache and like going there and being like, yeah, Alamo Drafthouse is the only theater I go to. You know, just.
Yeah, yes, because I'm pretty sure I saw that guy this weekend. That is a lot of their clientele, but I won't lie. Ask Chris, I say the same thing. Drafthouse is the only place I go to. I don't go to other theaters.
Yeah.
I don't like them nearly as much.
Well,
I go there for the food.
The food is really good there too.
If I'm gonna go to see a mainstream movie that's just gotten released, I'm probably gonna go to a regular theater because I don't want to drive 2.5 hours.
See, Drafthouse for us is like 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth the trip.
And plus, the Ritz Drafthouse, they do Terror Tuesdays.
Oh yeah, I saw something about something like that, and I thought of you. I was like, oh man, when Madeline moves, she'll have to I bet she'll be doing that. That's funny. Right, so Tucker and Dale.
It's gonna be a long episode.
Yeah, I know. That movie's pretty gory, I would say, or bloody. It's very bloody. And what was one of my favorite parts in that movie was when one of the college kids died, which I think it was like, was it the first guy? And he was the one the whole time that was like, you guys, we might be just misreading this situation. And then right when he dies, he's like, oh my God, we were misreading this situation.
Yeah.
That was the best for me. Yeah, with the bees.
I just thought every point that could have been interpreted as them being psycho hillbillies was so clever.
We got your friends.
We got your friends.
The bees and just all of it.
The chainsaw.
Yeah.
With the bees, gosh.
Like, I just love it when the character was it Tucker? Yeah, Tucker. When he's just like so upset
about the dog.
No. When he's so upset about the college kid going into the wood chipper, he just threw himself in there. Like, it's so great that he wouldn't even think that guy was trying to attack him or anything. He just instantly was like, oh my God, these kids are killing himself in the worst way possible.
It's like they take the weirdest way to interpret it all. Oh, and that sheriff, when he showed up, he was like, I told you to leave this place.
Yeah. Nothing but pain and suffering.
He was right. What about the end at the bowling alley?
Oh my God. That movie,
it was good.
It was really great.
That was horror comedy.
Yeah.
All the gore was amusing in some way.
I like the kid who shot himself personally, because it's like rule number 1, don't play with guns. Rule number 2, never point a gun.
Yeah.
Anything that you don't intend to shoot. And what's he do? Turns the barrel around right in his face.
Did you just quote Phantasm?
Did I?
Yeah, I think you did.
If he did, not intentionally.
Yeah.
There's a famous scene in Phantasm where he's like teaching his little brother how to use a gun, and he's like, you don't pull a gun out unless you plan to use it, and you don't shoot unless you're planning to shoot to kill, all that.
That's a general rule of thumb about it, but that's interesting. Which one's Phantasm?
That is a creepy movie. You need to watch it. It's from the 70s, and it's got the tall man, and like people are getting killed by this shape-shifting tall man who runs a funeral home, and their bodies are being converted to space dwarfs, and then there are these floating like silver balls that kill people. It's really weird.
Interesting.
It's kind of like a child's nightmare. Balls as in balls, not testicles.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying.
Speaking of balls, there's a movie called Club Dread.
Oh, you want to talk about Club Dread next?
Yeah, sure. Let's move on to our next movie.
Alright, so the movie that I chose was Club Dread, that was made by Broken Lizard, which are famous for the movie Super Troopers. That's really their biggest movie. And Beer Fest. Yeah, that one too.
Salmon.
Simon Salmon's not the best.
It's not as well known either. I'm trying to go with the ones that are like super well known, which Super Troopers and Beer Fest.
Those are the two big ones.
The plot for it is basically it's this resort, this island resort called Pleasure Island, run by this famous musician named Coconut Pete.
Yeah.
Who does, what kind of music is it? Sea shanty? What is sea something?
So, yeah.
Yeah, like folksy.
Tropical kind of.
Tropical music.
Rock.
Yeah.
Easy listening.
Easy, yes, perfect. And it just involves the staff and the staff of it that are running it, and mysteriously some murderer comes ashore and starts kind of killing the staff and I think a few people that are there at the resort. Yeah.
I think you only killed one civilian.
Yeah, and
well, there's a pretty high body count.
And you don't know who it is. And there's all these characters who you're like, oh, well, they seem like they might have murdered him. Oh, it could have been this guy. And it's just really funny, and I don't know how to describe it. It's really funny, and all the characters die in, like, these really ridiculous ways, and they're hilarious.
And if you have the DVD, the commentary for Club Dread is pretty funny, too.
I bet it is. I would like to listen to the commentary. We had to rent it, because I forgot we don't own the movie. So we had to rent it on Amazon. It's really hilarious. I just can't get over how funny that movie is.
It is really great.
It wasn't really that successful.
It should have been more successful, but...
Yeah, I don't know why, but it didn't do very... And Bill Paxton is in it.
He's so great. I think it was advertising. I don't think they had the right advertising out. Like, you hardly saw any trailers or anything.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton was fantastic.
Bill Paxton's the best part of the movie. Actually, recently, Chris and I were talking about Bill Paxton, and I couldn't really figure out who he was. I was like, who is he? He's like, it's the guy from Twister. I was like, well, shit, I haven't seen Twister, and I don't know how long it goes. It's Coconut Pete. And I went, oh, fuck, it's Coconut Pete? That changes everything.
You know, Bill Paxton also plays one of the, like, coolest bad vampires of all time in Near Dark. It's worth checking out.
So, yeah, let's talk about Club Dread and why Broken Lizard is amazing.
Well, let's start with a little portion of a song.
They call me the mayor, 'cause I spend all my days here. You would too, if you knew what I know.
Quick offset, are you playing Pina Colada Burg?
Yes, I just played Pina Colada Burg.
I love Pina Colada Burg. The guy who owns the resort, Coconut Pete, has a song written 7 years before Margaritaville called Pina Colada Burg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he really hates Jimmy Buffett.
Yes.
But what's really funny is if you listen to the lyrics to Pina Colada Burg, which you should have because you just heard it, it's not really about chilling out on a beach so much as getting completely hammered on a beach.
It's like all of his songs are basically acid trip songs, right?
Yeah, they're all like that, like intense drug trips and drinking so much you can't even like walk.
That one's pretty brutal, I think. Some parts of that are really, really brutal for me. One part that I can think of is a girl who's about to fall off a cliff and she tries to reach for something behind her and she grabs a machete. And then her hand, she's still falling and her hand is clutching it and, you just see that slowly just cutting into her fingers.
Yeah.
That is horrible.
Yeah. The gore in Tucker and Dale didn't get to me. The gore in Club Dread at times was a little like,
very gory. Kind of horrifying at some parts.
I loved the characters, though. I loved the fact that Jay was this, like, loser with dreadlocks.
Oh, no woman, no cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the characters are great, because that's one thing that's great about Broken Lizard is most of them always play very different characters in the movies.
Definitely.
Like, the guy from Super Troopers, who's just, like, a total asshole.
Farva.
Farva. He's, like, this pacifist masseuse with, like, dreadlocks? Dreadlocks?
Yeah. Jay, I always get his name, I always pronounce it wrong, Jay Chandrasekhar. And Steve plays a Mexican guy.
Yeah, and then in one of their other movies, he plays a very Jewish scientist.
Beer Fest.
Yeah.
I think the guy who plays Lars, he usually plays pretty similar characters, though. Kevin Heffernan?
Yeah, but this one, it was very different.
He looked kind of like Meatloaf. With the ponytail and everything.
Oh, and the main girl in this movie is also the main girl from Joe Dirt. And I forgot about that, and I was like,
Brittany Daniel?
Yeah. And she's on It's Always Sunny for like a few episodes, and in It's Always Sunny she plays a transgender. That if you watch It's Always Sunny, that's a very funny part of the show.
Apparently she was also in Dawson's Creek for a few episodes, so go figure.
Wait, that's the wrong
That
music.
is the OC, Julianne.
That is the OC.
Wait, is Dawson's Creek the one that goes, I don't want to wait?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Madeline.
With James Vanderbeek.
Yeah.
So we really need to say more about Club Dread besides that it's hilarious.
Tropical Island, and it's all about trying to figure out who the killer is.
Sexy co-eds.
Yeah. At different points, it seems like one person is the killer, especially Juan, and then you find out his dark secret.
You know what I liked about that movie is I felt like there was a lot of stuff they just kind of glossed over. Like, the girl in it. The fitness, the aerobics instructor, her.
Jenny?
The fact that Jenny. And then that one woman on that show just mysteriously got rat poison.
Yeah.
And Jenny slowly moved up the top. They just, like, never bring that up again. And then the fact that Lars has this complete, like, creepy obsession with Coconut Pete.
Yeah.
You know, and Juan with his dark secret, and they just like gloss over a lot of stuff with that.
Putman
Putman and his
his
really
weird dream.
Oh God.
Advantage, Putman. Now give us a kiss.
I love that one part when that guy is threatening to kill her. You're always shitting in people's apple pies. Well, now you've just shat in the apple pie that shits back.
Oh man, the one thing that Chris and I love to quote, and you say it because you do it so well.
You winded me, you Piccadilly whore.
No, not that one.
Namaste. Fuck off.
I love that no one wants to. Everyone is having sex with everyone except Putman. No one wants anything to do with him. He's usually the director in their movies, I think.
Yeah, he's always the director, I think. I'm pretty positive.
I loved him in Beer Fest so much.
Yep.
What was it? I was playing ping pong and Bing Bang.
Ding dang.
Bing Gang, that's what it was.
I've been shitting pancakes ever since. They just seem like they have a lot of fun together.
They do. I was reading about movies they've discussed that they want to do. I don't know if you've read that. Have you? The one they want to do that one about like Socrates and Plato, I think.
I have not read that, but it sounds funny.
They basically, two of the characters is like the teacher and the student during like Grecian times, and they go and like one of them wants to be a wrestler, but like the student wants to be a wrestler, but he's failing his thought class. And then some of the other characters play Greek gods.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I read about it on Wikipedia. It looks really funny. They called it Rogue Scholars.
Oh, that's a clever name. That's a clever.
Yeah, hopefully they come out with that because that would be really great. All right, Mal, let's talk about your movie. One of the more famous ones.
My movie I picked after much deliberation between several options is called Young Frankenstein, and Chris has not seen it.
I have not. I love Mel Brooks movies, but...
Let me just start off by saying this is Gene Wilder's best starring role. It is the greatest movie he has ever done. I don't care what you say about Willy Wonka, Chris, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
This was the last collaborative film Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder worked on. I mean, they worked together still afterwards, but this was the last film they actually collaborated on because they both wrote the screenplay together.
Oh, I should have known that.
Mm-hmm. And it's basically, all the old Universal Frankenstein movies. There were like 5, maybe 6, whatever of them. This is basically like a sequel to all of them in a way. It's about Victor Frankenstein's grandson coming back to the castle, and he has kind of like completely forsaken his family's heritage of bringing the dead to life and terrorizing the village. And he doesn't believe any of that until he finds his grandfather's diary. And then he brings a monster to life. Every single scene in this movie, the way the set is laid out, everything is like a painting. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's in black and white, too. Mel Brooks actually had to fight to get it in black and white, because a lot of the people he was working with were like, no, you gotta do it in color.
I think the black and white element actually really aided in making it more funny, to be honest, because it set you in that time period when they were making all these Frankenstein movies.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tribute to the Universal Horror. You can't do a tribute to Universal Horror in color. And Marty Feldman plays the greatest Igor ever. Actually, one of the things is behind the scenes, he used to switch his hump without telling anybody. And that whole bit where whenever Gene Wilder looks at him and he's like, wasn't your hump on the other side? And he says, what hump? That was improv.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mel Brooks is a really great comedy director, and there really isn't anyone like him out there.
And this is going to sound bad, but they seem like they should be, I don't know, kind of stupid, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're hilarious, and they're, like, really well done.
There's a lot of really great characters in Young Frankenstein. I mean, even his assistant, I believe her name is Inga.
Inga, yes.
Yeah. She's played completely straight, completely normal, but she's charming in her own innocent little way. There's a famous line she does that was adapted for the stage musical they did of Young Frankenstein.
Would you like to have a roll in the hay? It's fun! Roll, roll, roll in the hay.
The accents in that movie.
Oh, yes. The accents are brilliant. Not to mention the police inspector. who has an eye patch and then a monocle over his eye patch. And a wooden arm that he has to hit to make work.
Just completely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And it just works so well, though.
It does, and I don't know if it would have worked as well if anyone but Mel Brooks had directed this, because it was shot so beautifully that you really did just focus on being in this world, rather than focus on making fun of the set, or the appearance, or the film quality.
I want to talk about a joke in that movie that's, I don't know, I always immediately think of whenever I think of the movie, I immediately think of the scene. The women are just singing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, sweet mystery of life, at last I found.
Yes, yeah.
They picked that song because it was public domain.
Whenever that's on, like, sexy time, the women just start singing like that the whole time.
Yeah.
And the whole joke with Frankenstein's monster's brain.
Abby Normal.
Abby Normal.
Chris is lucky. He's the lucky member of our group who's going to be able to experience this film for the first time.
I have a question. Did they remaster this in color?
No. No.
It's probably just set pictures.
Yeah, it's just set pictures. They never remastered it in color. That would have been stupid. It was made in the time of color. They could have easily done it in color. They didn't want to do it in color. Mel Brooks would kill anyone who would try to remaster this in color. But he did do Dracula Dead and Loving It in color.
Yeah, that worked in color, though.
Yeah.
You needed those red colors.
And the set they used for Young Frankenstein is actually from the original Frankenstein film.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Oh, now you got me looking at trivia for it.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of awesome trivia. I just watched this afternoon with commentary on, because I love Mel Brooks' commentary.
Was that great?
It was great. I've heard it before with commentary, but the quote 5 times before by the villagers, there's a point where they're like, but this has happened 5 times before. We all remember it. It's referring to the all the Universal films, all the 5 like Frankenstein movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, well, sure, this time it will be different. Because they're all afraid that he's going to bring a monster to life and terrorize the town. Because everyone in his family has done it. There's 2 points in which Mel actually injected his voice in this movie. One of them is when they're riding in the carriage after the roll in the hay bit, and there's a wolf howling. That's Mel. That's Mel Brooks.
Yeah, I just saw that online.
And another point, when they first enter the lab, you hear this narrative of Victor Frankenstein talking about, the monster and all that shit. That's Mel Brooks doing the voice for Victor.
He likes to interject himself in the movies, and I think that he's one of those people that can pull it off really well.
Yeah, but Gene would not let him actually show himself in this movie, like have an actual cameo, because he felt like it would have been too much. Julianne, do you remember that Putting on the Ritz song in this, when he danced with the monster?
Yes.
That was almost cut.
What?
Yeah, Mel told Gene, he was like, I'm going to have to cut this number out of the movie, and Gene got so mad, he like threw a fit, and then Mel was like, no, wait, we're going to keep it. I just wanted to see how hard you'd fight for it.
Yeah, that part in the movie, the Putting on the Ritz scene, is the parts you think about when you think of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is you think of that, and
yeah. If you remember nothing else about this movie, the Putting on the Ritz scene, you'll remember. And also, like, Gene Hackman has a cameo in this as the blind man. He's a terrible host. He tries his best, but...
you need to see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You do, Chris.
Do you have anything you want to say about Dracula Dead and Loving It? I know you've seen that.
Oh, I love Dracula Dead and Loving It.
I recently saw that within the last 6 months.
The commentary's good on that one, too. Billy Crystal's daughter plays the nurse.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like the part where it's in emergency, that character. Okay, then. Well, Young Frankenstein is a really good movie. It's worth
It came out a super long time ago, 1974.
1974. And it was released the same year as Blazing Saddles.
That I did not know.
Yeah.
Huh.
What's nice about Mel Brooks is that he has so many good comedies. There's bound to be at least one kind for everybody.
Oh, yeah, Chris was telling me about how he's trying to have the Spaceballs 2 happen.
I really? You honestly think that? I don't think so.
He's trying, but probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Especially because you could probably never get Rick Moranis in there.
Well, anyway, guys, I'm sorry it took us so long to get together for a podcast, but in between my trip to India and me currently moving and Julianne getting her internship...
Yep, just finished it. Woo!
Yeah, life has just been crazy for all of us. You know, this has been a great episode. We look forward to hopefully getting another episode out next week, depending on what happens. So we'll do our best. Julianne, would you like to mention the Twitter?
Yeah, we have a Twitter. We're at Hallow-Holics. You can send us something if you disagree or agree with us, or just have something you want to say. If you want us to talk about any type of particular subject, please tell us, because sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle, and it's kind of cool when we get a more focused
input. We need to do a Friendly Robots movie episode.
Friendly Robots?
Friendly
You're
Robots.
talking about like iRobot?
Well, yeah, or Short Circuit or something. But that'll have to be for Sugar Rush. That'll have to be for Sugar Rush. J5 is alive! That'll have to be for Sugar Rush, which is an upcoming podcast we're eventually going to start.
Chris and I will excel in.
Yeah.
More than the horror one, because that is great at the horror, but, you know, him and I, we do a lot of pop culture stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sugar Rush is going to be all about nerd stuff. From sci-fi to fantasy to anything not specifically horror. Yeah, I'd also like to mention some great podcasts. Sawbones, the Directors Club podcast, Horror Etc., that's Horror ETC, and a new one entering our lineup is called Back of the House. It features interviews with all kinds of artists and special meals prepared for them. So, dinner and an interview.
Oh, that's cool.
Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. I remember that show, Dinner and a Movie.
Oh, I loved that show.
Too bad nothing like that could ever work out nowadays.
I think it could, but they'd have to tailor it for the internet.
Yeah, well, I think, like, somebody had a YouTube channel, it would work, but they can't show movies, so.
Well, they can do public domain, like Elvira or something.
Oh my god, it was you the whole time? Well, ain't that just the shit in the apple pie?
They call me the mayor, 'cause I spend all my days here. You would too, if you knew what I know. Pina colada. About a tropical tree, sucked straight from the coconut's teeth. When it's just right, it makes your short hairs grow. Got a hole in my straw hat, 2 tires on my Jeep flat. Maybe today I'll stay out of the sun.